Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, so good.
Yes. Hi, Dennis, my man. Another week.
Daylight, $1 short, bro.
Yeah. What were we up to yesterday, if you can tell?
Yeah, it was reportedly in the 50s, and I had no engagement, so I went fishing in the Pierre Marquette.
Nice.
And had a wonderful day. In fact, I guess story number one is I've been going winter fishing, for quite some time. You've heard me say it's why they call it fishing, not catching, because I wouldn't catch any fish.
It's all the joke.
Well, last week I went up to Pierre Marquette and went to my favorite honey hole, and over the course of about an hour and a half, I had 9 fucking fish on. They were 2 feet long, they were big, they were jumping, and every one of them broke off. Every one of them broke off, or got away, one of the two. But I was using light line, because that's all I had.
Right.
So I was determined to go back to that spot.
With stronger
and
line.
This time with heavier line.
Yep.
And different stuff, and not, and this. So I got there, and went right there to my honey hole, skip my hot first hole. No fish in the first 3 holes at all. The first hot hole where you can't see the bottom, which is why it's hot. Mm-hmm. Didn't stop there, went all the way, and didn't stop at the second one. Even though there was a fish there, one fish. Went to my honey hole. Second cast, got a fish on.
Yep.
5th cast, lost it. 5th cast, got a fish on. 8th cast, got a fish on, lost it. In 45 minutes, I had 3 beautiful fish on. They're swimming up and down in the pocket, in the hole, going to the lumber. I got them flipping, flopping. One jumps on a log, gets away. Another one gets in the rough water, gets away. And so then nothing. I walk up. Another fisherman comes in, takes my spot. I didn't know that till later. I walk up, fish the next big hole, nothing. Next big hole, nothing. Next hole, nothing. And I go to walk up to what is my last hole before the river doesn't have too many. And all of a sudden, I found myself underwater.
Oops.
I had tripped over nothing.
Splash.
It was loose gravel, and fell in the water. And when I tried to get up, my legs flipped under me, and I went under again. I was spitting out water. My head was under.
Lordy.
Not my whole head, but my mouth. Got up soaked. It was only 2 feet deep. But I was soaked from head to all the water go down into my phone, into my boots, my underwear, my socks, my pants, everything. But it's 52
You're
degrees.
A wet boy.
I'm like, I'm going to keep fishing. I fished and fished. Went back to the hole. Those guys were still there. They had hooked one, but not landed one. Same old story.
Yep.
And I was thinking I'd wait for them. I waited a few minutes. It looked like they were going to stay a while because they had hooked a fish there. So I went up to my last spot. I saw a fish. I spooked him. And I went to my last honey hole, which is low-hanging trees and trees behind you and trees to the right and a piece of driftwood in the bottom of the hole. And I got it right and drifted. Bam! Hooked a fish.
Nice.
Played that fish for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Up the hole, down the hole, toward the brush, toward the shallow water, run away, back and forth, and finally
Dance.
had him so tired out, I slipped the net under him. He was a monster, 27-inch, like 10-pound steelhead. And you'll see a picture when we're done. I'll send it to you. But holy cow! So I was proud.
Nice.
Very proud. And there's nothing like the feeling. I mean, I was happy. I figured I'd be happy the rest of my life, but I'm ready to go back on Monday. But that's why I didn't go. I didn't get home till 7:30. I went straight to the pub. I had 2 of my favorite musicians there. There's a guy there that owed me $370.
Did you dry off first?
Huh? No, well, I had a complete. It's funny that you ask. I, of course, have a complete change of clothes in the back of the truck, but because I was so wet, I had to get down to my birthday suit.
Yeah.
So standing on a very seldom used paved road, there I was, and I was so comfortable in the 53 degrees and the breeze compared to how I felt in the clothes.
Right.
I was ready to get out a chair, break out a beer,
Nice.
but I didn't. And went from there to one of my 3 favorite bars in town. Had a beautiful, beautiful red ale from Leelanau, Michigan, called Red Jacket.
Nice.
Here's to them.
Red Jacket.
And then went up the street and for $20 had all I could eat shrimp cooked in butter and seasoning, man. Big, giant shrimp, fresh, almost just perfectly cooked. Oh, Lord. Then I went home, went to the bar. Guy didn't have my money. Had a couple of beers, listened to a couple of tunes. Came home and watched The Sopranos. It's good.
That's a good day.
It's good to be me. What? Who could have it better than that?
That's a good day.
No, nobody.
You reminded me a little bit of golf, with walking from one hole to another and getting wet.
Yeah, well, and hoping for better luck every time.
You walk 9 holes out and then
finally a birdie.
And then you scored a
birdie.
birdie, yeah.
Or in this case, a fishy.
A fishy.
Instead of a birdie, it'd be called a fishy. We could actually create a board game like this.
Huh? Okay. Is your
Where's My Trout?
Is it a you rolling dice to see if you catch one?
Yeah. Well, no, rolling dice that tells you what happens on the board.
Okay.
The board is a river. It has holes marked. You land on a space to go to the closest hole.
Right.
Roll again.
And
pick a card.
And if another player is there,
says,
then it's annoying and you can't
hook
fish
a fish.
there.
Other player, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Draw a card, fish on, roll again, another card, fish off. That would be fun to write that game.
Yeah.
Hang on a
We
second.
need a title. Let's see. While he's doing other things.
Hello? Is it Noah? Yeah. Okay, I thought it was Grandpa yelling for me. I'm doing my podcast.
He's in a podcast. An official podcaster.
Sorry about that.
I'm doing my podcast.
Padcan. Whatever this is fucking called.
So we need a name for the game. I like Where's My Trout, but like Get Out the Trout or Get Trout of My Way. I don't know. We'll have to workshop that.
Fish on, fish off.
That's not too bad. Fish off. Well, fish off sort of makes it sound like it's a.
Is that your cat?
Can you hear it? He's better out there meowing than.
I thought it was a baby in the house here.
Yeah. Well, it was last week.
Oh, mommy.
No, this is just a row. So, anyway, I can't shut him up, but cool. So I did a fun thing this weekend. On Sunday, we decided, hey, let's go for a hike. And we looked for some place. We have a sort of a list of hikes that we've been collecting. And we chose one, and it looked fairly reasonable. It was like well, first of all, we were looking at these several hikes that we had, and they were all like loops, right? So the time it said was the whole time it was going to take you, and so just like when you're shopping for something, you get sort of anchored in this price range, and then
Right.
and so we were looking around like 3 or 4 hours to be out hiking. Seemed reasonable. And then I saw this other one that said it's only 3 hours and we can leave from our house and walk up the mountain, and it's super nice. But
This is in your town?
it was from my house, walking up the nearby mountain. And what I didn't realize was that it was 3 hours one way. So it was going to be a total of 6-hour hike, but I didn't realize that until we had started. And also it was straight up the fucking mountain. So it was to get to the final destination, it was a 10-kilometer hike, which is like 6.5 miles, but uphill. And also there were bits where we were going through this forest, and the path had huge puddles in it, and so you had to sort of walk up against these prickly bushes on the side of the puddle, trying not to fall in or get pricked. And there were several of these, and there were the very worst one. We were very much considering just turning around and going back, because we were that far away from home, and if you fall in and get wet, it really sucks. And we were there trying to figure out how to get by, and here comes this man on a horse coming back the other direction. And he took one look at us and was like, "What are you guys doing out here with those shoes on, and that, you're in the wrong, what are you doing out here?" And we're like, "Oh, well, we didn't realize it was going to be quite like this." And so he got off his horse and sort of helped us across. And he told us, "Look, this is the worst one. There's no more worse up there." And sure enough, there were some really bad puddles we had to get around, but we managed to not actually fall into any one. And at some point we got some branches and had sort of made little walking sticks that we could lean on against the puddle. But anyway, we made it all the way up to this big sort of rock structure that someone several hundred years ago had put up, erected this rock. I don't know if it was 100 years or 1,000 years, but sort of this monolith thing that is the divider between the local counties, the local districts. This is the rock that divides 3 different zones. And that was kind of cool. And then we walked back, but we took a different way, so we didn't have to go through the puddles again. But overall, it was a 20-kilometer, 12.5 mile walk, which took us 6 hours.
Did you take your lunch with you?
Yes, we took a sandwich and we ate it at the top.
Where'd you get the sandwich?
I made it.
You made it?
Went out and bought.
You made the sandwiches for the whole family?
Yeah, I bought some lunch meat the day before, and then I bought fresh bread that morning.
Oh boy. Well, so this is interesting. This another one of your walks, and your perspective is similar but differs in some way to perhaps someone else who was on the walk. Let me read you something called The Walk.
Okay.
On Sunday, the 18th of February, I had to walk 10 kilometers up a mountain through mud puddles and dirt. It continued like this for almost the whole way. Then the path got better and it was straight to the end. When we got to the end, there was a rock, a normal, ordinary rock. I was mad that we walked 10 kilometers just to see a normal rock, although the views from up on the mountain were really cool. After we ate our amazing, all caps sandwich, we started going down. We chose a different route to go back. It was drier. Going down, we saw a line of caterpillars. They were all following the one in front of them. I was weirded out by it, but also interested. Another interesting thing that we saw was a guy on his horse just going up the path, riding his horse. I love horses. I think they're smarter than people think they are. when we were getting close to Colindres, Nora and I asked Daddy if we could stop at a bar and have a milkshake. After the milkshake, it was finally time to go home. The first thing I did when I was home was lay down and play a bit. Overall, it was a very stupid trip to go 20 millimeters to see a rock.
Kilometers. That's hilarious. That's obviously an essay written by my son.
And I was kind of wondering, as you told, I didn't know when you'd tell the story, but I knew you would, how closely you tracked his observation.
Oh, no, I was aware.
And
I was super proud of my kids that going there, they didn't really complain the whole way. Because sometimes we try and do something like this, and they're like, I can't, ow, my foot hurts, and they weren't like actively having fun. Sometimes they get into they kind of liked avoiding the puddles. That's like a fun bit. But sometimes they get sort of excited about stuff. They weren't quite like that, but they weren't really complaining either. But yeah, we got to see this this rock. I didn't really know what it was going to be until we got there. And yeah, it was a rock, but
you had a lot to say about the rock.
It was installed by humans a long time ago. Yeah.
He said it was just a normal rock.
Stupid rock. Yeah.
So there was that part that he missed, or it didn't quite.
Didn't appreciate. Yeah. And it was a kind of a weird rock because it's sort of shaped. It was very tall and like a sliver, but like it was 10 feet tall.
And what did it commemorate? Oh, the line, like a meridian line.
No, it was a middle point between 3 different regions, municipalities.
What does that mean, middle point?
Like the borders
in the middle of 3.
Like the borders all connected there from 3.
Oh.
Think of a Y.
So not necessarily the center, but the touch point.
Yeah. So
there's a word for that. The point at which they all touched, but there's a better word.
Vertex is what you would call it in geometry, but there's probably a
vortex.
There's probably a something that land surveyors would use, but
yeah,
I don't know it. But so that was
the place where they all share a common border.
Sure. Like there's that place in.
Don't get excited about it. I thought it was big.
There's that place in the western U.S. where there's like 4 states that come together, right?
All in one spot. Well, there's a place up in the mountains in Georgia where 3 states touch near Athens. It's one of my favorite parts of the world, near Athens, in fact, where who was the band that got started in Athens that got to be so big?
Leonard Skinner.
Lord, I remember it another time.
I don't know. Yeah. Speaking of Athens, later this year I'm going to Greece. Athens, Greece, the original Athens.
For a conference
or
for fun?
Conference. So, that...
To do what? I mean, what are you talking? You're boring
computer stuff,
shit,
yeah.
Your program shit?
The problem is I haven't actually written the talk yet, and it's in June, so I need to get my shit together. But...
Well, it's not like you're behind.
Well, but I always feel better. Whenever I have to put one of these talks together, I start with, how could I possibly talk about this topic for 30 minutes? And then I start putting the talk together, and I reach an inflection point where I'm like, how can I only talk about this for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
And it happens every time. But when I'm when I'm climbing up the hill, it feels like an impossible thing. And then I realize, wait, there. So.
I follow the adage that less is more.
Right. And for sure, if you have a 30-minute talk and you give a 27-minute talk, like the actual conference organizers are sort of grateful because you can get shit back on schedule because things start running late, and
They like that.
I think so. If
They
you
like
give
you to be able to quit a little.
if you give a 15-minute talk that's supposed to be 30 minutes, that
Yeah.
might not be so cool.
Get ripped off,
But,
right?
So
Well, 30. My time with conferences, I became disgusted with these panel conferences, where they'd have 3 people on a topic for 90 minutes, 4 people on a topic and if it was only, it could have been 45 minutes even workshop or an hour workshop, but you get all these people on a panel and introducing them and them laying some
crosstalk
environmental
and, yeah.
context, and they have 2 minutes to actually get anything across. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, if you've got a panel of 4, you must have picked a panel of 4 because each of them knows their shit. Well, pick one.
right, exactly.
Pick one and let them do what they're going to do, and have an extended
Let
Q&A.
each one talk for
People
15
learn-
minutes or whatever.
One of the things I did in when I was preparing workshop was figure out what I want to present and get an outline of it, and then short shrift a bunch of the topics so that they would lead to questions.
Right.
Because the research shows that you learn more from the response to your question. Big,
Yeah.
but it's true, and so you're better off cutting the shit in half and doing a Q&A. But when you're on a panel, everybody's got 15 minutes. Who I am is 5. What I've done is 3.
Right.
Here's a couple of concepts, and then you go. And then when it comes to questions, the only person who gets the questions is the last person who talks.
Right, exactly. Because that's fresh in everyone's
Unless
mind.
you manage it as a facilitator, I would manage that and say, everybody has a card in their hand with John's name on it. Please write your questions now while I introduce the next speaker.
Right. Nice.
And you gotta kind of run that shit that way. But otherwise, it's just a waste of time. I used to do 3 hours and 4 hours. I've done full days, and while less is more, meaning that you've got to present stuff as simply as possible. The great quote from Einstein that I like so much that I use all the time, when people are trying to say to you, "Oh man, I had this guy on the phone the other day, and I'm explaining some scientific research and blah blah blah," and he says, let's cut to the chase here. I mean, what's the what's the bottom line? And and I said, well, I can get that. I said to him, it was just 3 of us on the call. I said, I didn't know I was under a time constraint to answer the question, but blah 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 blah. If that's all you want to know, and I said that. And later in the meeting, I said, remember, man, what Einstein said about simplicity. And like, what's that? And I said, keep things as simple as possible, but no simpler.
Right.
And I say that to say some shit's a little complicated. I can simplify it down to its bare bones, but it doesn't mean that at that point you say, oh, wow, that's really simple.
Right, exactly.
No, what it is simpler than it could be, and this drive and this, it's kind of generational. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not generational. I don't know what the fuck, but nobody wants to read more than a page.
Right.
But it's a page, and it's got to be a lot of spaces, and it's got to be bullets, and you got to have some color in it. If I could, dangle a keychain with some shiny keys to keep their attention.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Take the fucking time and read the shit. You're getting paid. There's people getting paid, and they say, "Well, I don't have time to read it." Well, what are you doing instead? What are you doing instead? Have another meeting?
Check an email.
Another meeting. We're going to have a pre-meeting about a meeting that we need, and who's going to be in the meeting, and what's the agenda going to be for the meeting. And okay, we did that. Well, let's meet again and look at what we're going to cover during the meeting. And we did that. Now let's have another
that's so
meeting
exhausting.
and look at the slide presentations, and then let's have the meeting, and then after the meeting, let's have a post meeting. Well, we better have more time because if we didn't get to everything, you're in fucking 10 meetings for fucking 45-minute PowerPoint.
Do people?
Are you fucking kidding me?
Does that make people feel productive? Is it the illusion of
Yes.
productivity?
Yes. My calendar's jammed. Jammed, yeah, like jam, like fucking raspberry jam.
Since you mentioned Einstein, I watched this. It's okay. It's not great, but there's this sort of like historical fiction documentary on Netflix called it's called something like Einstein and the Bomb or something, and it's and they have this guy playing Einstein, and they go through what happened when he escaped from Germany and he went to England for a while, and anyway. They had a really cool conceit to the show and they put this up in text at the very beginning, that every word that they put in Einstein's mouth in that actor was word for word something that the real Einstein either said or wrote. So they would come up with these dialogues where someone would ask him something, and like they had to sort of massage it made sort of for an awkward dialogue to have the words be exactly what Einstein had said. But I thought that was pretty cool that like they weren't misrepresenting him really, and I don't know. I didn't learn too much. I knew a lot of it, and a lot of his quotes, he's so endlessly quoted that I recognized a lot of them. But
and he was a funny guy, wasn't he?
He was pretty funny.
Great sense of humor. He liked to pull pranks.
He especially was annoyed with his fame, and like the reporters would follow him around and ask him questions and stuff, and he would just give goofy answers back to them
or stick his tongue out
because they were just, he was like, can you explain, relativity to us? And he was something like, well, you know how when you're, I don't know, like when you're at the dentist office versus, on a walk with a pretty girl or something, how time flies in one and whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but he was just making. I mean, that's not at all what special relativity is about. But it was a fun documentary, and my 15-year-old daughter watched a little bit. She was sort of doing other things, but she said, "Huh, I didn't know that Einstein and Hitler lived at the same time." And I was like, "Well, it's kind of an important part of the story."
Yeah.
And
did you saw Oppenheimer, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. It's getting awards like crazy.
It's the first half of. If they'd stopped it after the first half, it would have been a better movie.
Really?
Because it gets weird.
It was 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's super long, and the latter half is. It's just like congressional testimony garbage, which there are.
Why did one reviewer say that some of it was trippy or?
Yeah, so they did this. I don't know if it's called magical realism or something, but they did some stuff where, when a character gets overwhelmed. And they do weird shit with the camera, and he's imagining things,
right.
And it got a little trippy sometimes for no good reason.
And who was the director?
Why are you opening snacks on a podcast? We can hear that.
Who was the director?
Christopher Nolan.
Oh yeah, right.
He's done lots of crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well, I gotta go see it. I know my wife wants. My father-in-law would love to see it. He's a World War nut, man. He loves it. Although he's now officially addicted to Sopranos, where there's 63 episodes, and we're on number 9.
Wow.
And so every night he wants to watch it. every night I kind of do too, because it's not. I don't have a lot of competition now that night country's done. Now we've talked since the last episode.
We have not.
Right?
This is our
We have not.
our review.
That's on tonight's agenda.
yes.
Oh wow. But anyway, so because I don't have a lot to watch,
Right.
anything really. Although Kirby Enthusiasm, I got to catch up with that. I might do that tonight.
Yeah, they're doing the final season.
Although we're doing a double birthday party tonight, I got a hard stop at
Double
a
birthday.
little after 4, but because I got Kaylee, my daughter, 35, and my missus, 72.
Nice.
72. So, and if you wonder what I was opening, I forgot. I don't have a lot of time to do this thing I got to do.
You wrapping presents.
This is no.
Okay.
Just this card I got to fill out.
It's cute.
Do you read it backwards? You don't, do you?
No, I see
It's
it.
it's not.
I see it the right way.
Right. It's just me.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha. I wanted to do an AI poem. You know, I've got the AI thing in my, I don't know, give me this chat PT or whatever the fuck it's called
Yeah.
on my phone.
Uh-huh.
I tried to register and something went wrong and annoyed me, so I quit it. But I wanted to do an AI of, write a poem, a rhyming poem, where the subject is my wife Nikki as the queen, turning 72.
Come on, we can workshop this.
Just-
We can do this live on the air.
Do it? Can we do it? Can we do it right now?
Sure.
Can we do it right now? It's that quick.
I got ChatGPT up.
Workshop it. Hey, we need a new whiteboard. Let's get the eraser out and the spray.
Write a rhyming poem about my wife, Nikki, as a queen who is turning 72 years old. All right. In a realm where grace and wisdom beam.
That quick?
Yeah, it's already done, yeah. In a realm where grace and wisdom beam lives Nikki, our revered and cherished queen. 71 years her reign adorned, now 72, like dawn is warmly born. Her scepter, kindness, her crown, pure love, her heart a treasure trove from above. Each year that passes, her legacy grows like a garden where every virtue shows. In her eyes, the light of countless springs. In her smile, the peace that true joy brings. Her laughter, a melody that endears, a symphony sweet to all who hears. Her wisdom, a tapestry rich and vast, woven from threads of experiences past, guiding us gently with her seasoned hand. In her grace and poise we proudly stand. We celebrate this day of days. Her aura shines in the most radiant ways. 72 candles light up the scene. For Nikki, forever our queen supreme. So here's to the queen in her splendid reign. May her years again be free of pain. May her years ahead be free of pain. With love and honor, we bow and say, happy birthday, Nikki, queen of our day. How's that?
Oh my God.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome. And you can cut and paste it and send it to me?
Yeah. That's the first attempt that it
Yeah,
made. Given only what I wrote.
That's instantaneous.
Yes.
I don't know why I assume it would like take a minute.
Nope.
Like it would whir.
Seconds. No. Well, it starts before it knows where it's going. It just starts giving you text. Like it took maybe 15 seconds for the whole thing to be printed, but you can start reading from the beginning already. It's crazy.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you, that sure beats what I was thinking of writing. No matter where you are, no matter where you've been, you need to understand that Nikki is the queen. I love it. I love it because I can't predict when she'll utter her next edict. I'm glad to be her close friend, because otherwise she would edict me dead. And I thought, no, that's stupid. Oh God, I love it. Well, I'll print that and put it inside her card. I'll read it at the party. So I'm doing Mexican. hamburger, chicken for tacos, enchiladas, refried beans, pico de gallo, guacamole, cooked mushrooms,
Nice.
Spanish rice, enchilada shells, taco shells, sour cream. Man, all ready. Almost ready. I'll get it ready. Oh, Lord. So, that story from your son, your dad sent it to me,
Yes,
obviously.
obviously.
He was, he thought I could do something funny with it. I had a lot of ideas of what I was going to do, but it just seemed, as you told the story, the best thing to do was just to read it.
It was perfect. Perfect. And that's
Funny.
I love how expressive he is, because he's practicing this with my parents. He gets these assignments to write a little story or a essay or something. And uh-oh. All right. That's our chapter change signal. So, anything from the sports or politics corner before we go into entertainment?
The politics desk. Thank you. And things are moving forward in a more rapid fashion on the legal front for our friend Donald J. Trump, who not only received a very large judgment against his company, but now, given a lull in certain proceedings, the other prosecutor, who has indicted him on campaign charges, which were put to hiatus for a while because it appeared that more important crimes were taking front and center stage. Precisely the documents case in Mar-a-Lago, which is in a pause, and also the January 6th fucking takeover of the U.S.
Why are
government.
they paused?
On a bit of a pause. Appeals, court reviews, Supreme Court reviews, Trump's game. He doesn't care. He doesn't care at all about the validity of his request for court review. He just knows that when you make it, it will delay. His goal, of course, as you know, is to wait until he's president, appoint another attorney general, vacates all the cases, and so delay is his friend. But this one is moving forward, and it's Alvin Bragg, Southern District of New York DA, who people would rather call it the Stormy Daniels hush money case, which is one more salacious way to describe it, but that's not the charge. The charge is that he used campaign money to pay for it and then covered it up. And while some of the other court cases, his fixer, Michael Cohen, who went to prison
Right.
For answering a question untruthfully for the grand jury, and it's a very minute kind of question that he did time for. Imagine this was the lie. Someone asked him how many times did he talk about having a Trump hotel in Russia, and he lied and said it was 3, even though he knew it was 10. Because of that lie, he went to jail for 6 months.
Damn.
Compare that to what we're looking at. So he's been quite an important witness on these other cases because he was in the middle of everything. This case, though, he is the star witness because he was the guy who did the work. He was the guy who took the orders. He was the guy who mortgaged his house so he could pay her with his money and Trump would pay him back quarterly, which Trump said in an email communication. So this one is coming forward, and he's already been found responsible for sexual assault. E. Jean Carroll had to pay $340-some million.
Right.
Got another case where the judge has already decided long ago that he was fraudulently claiming inflated values for his property for the purposes of getting better loans. And he'd already been found in fault of that and a fraud. and they had a long trial about what they were going to do about it. Well, they're kicking him out of New York, doing businesses in any business in New York for 3 years, fining him, and punitive damages of $300 and some million. So between the two, he's in the bucket for about $600 million.
Right.
And in that case, they found both of his sons responsible and gave them $1 million fine, and they can't do business in New York for 2 years. And they're assigning a mentor or an overseer of all the Trump businesses in New York. Here's the cool thing. For all of these, when he wants to appeal, which is his right, he has to post the money or a bond for the money. And because his credit is so bad, he may have a hard time doing that. His credit's worse now than it ever was. And so his estimates of his cash at hand, because he boasts, some say that it's between 300 to 6 million. Michael Cohen says that's bullshit. He's got half that. You cannot believe what these pundits say about how much money they think he has, because they're basing that guess on stuff that he said, which I know is not true.
Right, of course.
He's cash poor.
I was going to say,
so that
for liquid cash, it's got to be almost nothing. I mean,
you would think.
Because he's got buildings and land and shit.
Golf courses and buildings, and so he's got to sell stuff. But if he sells stuff, it's going to be like a fire sale.
Right.
But he's got to, or he can't appeal. Because of that, he didn't appeal. One of the rulings was a Michigan ruling, which ordinarily he would have appealed at the Supreme Court, but he didn't because he's got so much legal trouble now. So coming up this week, Republican primary, South Carolina, Nikki Haley, former ambassador, two-term governor of South Carolina. Last I looked was trailing Donald Trump by 20.
Yep.
That's an improvement after trailing him by 36. It appears she's going to lose her own state, which generally would kill a campaign. Her funders said, no, you're going all the way to the convention.
Wow.
And you're not dropping out, and it doesn't matter how many delegates you get. You get enough delegates, you can keep Donald Trump from getting it. It's possible. Not very likely, but it's possible. And if he gets convicted before the convention, some of the independents in the polls could become even worse for him and better for Haley. Remember, of course, that in all head-to-head between Haley and Biden, Haley creams him usually by double digits. Trump, on the other hand, is neck and neck, and that, depending on the poll, sometimes it's different. And so Haley's position of a general election hero is great. That doesn't get her anything in the primary. People care less.
Yeah.
You got the Trump base, and then you got the others. And the amount of independents that have moved to Trump continues to be high because they make money when he's president. He's already promised another huge tax cut for the wealthy and the corporate. People like Elon Musk want him in.
Hey. Well, he's going to win, so that's...
No, he ain't going to win.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's going to be on the ticket.
Yeah.
I don't think Biden's going to be on the ticket either. I've told you that.
You are so...
Biden's going to have
Biden's
going to have a motherfucking physical fucking breakdown of some kind.
Well, yeah.
Did you see the tape of him having a little press conference to rebut that his memory was bad?
Yeah.
And he forgot the name of the president of Egypt and confused it with the president of Mexico?
Yeah.
Good job. You sent me to Jon Stewart.
Yeah, right? I did. That was so good.
That was fabulous.
I'm going to put that in the show notes.
So funny. So funny.
His second week, because he does it on Mondays, and he did one this Monday too, but it was all, first of all, he addressed a lot of the feedback he got. A lot of people were angry at him for going after Biden at all. The Democrats were upset at drawing any equality of being elderly from like the candidates. But his one this week was just mocking Tucker Carlson because Tucker went to Russia and like interviewed.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Interviewed Putin, and I'll send it to you. It's not as good as the first one, but Tucker was trying to make the point that like your weekly groceries in Russia are super cheap, and it's like just totally missing the point of what the actual differences are between the countries. He was like these, and he went down. I did not know this until I went there, but the subways in Moscow are gorgeous. There's no advertising. Advertising is prohibited. There's no graffiti, and there's like beautiful works of art. Like it's like a little mini cathedral at every station. It's just really, really gorgeous.
Huh.
And Tucker was like, "Well, it doesn't smell like piss here, like in New York," but that's because they are a totalitarian. Like you can enforce shit if you're willing to, disappear people.
if right. Right. I wonder why people are so compliant in Russia.
Exactly. That was his.
I can't. What's their motivation?
He wanted to frame it like they were just so nationalistic and loved their country in a way that darn Americans don't. But anyway, I'll send you that. I'll put that link in the show notes too. So before we run out of time, we should probably talk about Night Country.
Oh yeah. So let's do this to start with.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ecstatic, 1 being unacceptable, totally bad, how would you rate the ending?
You mean the last episode?
The last episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had like I expressed last week, I was worried that they were going to fuck it up. And I was amazed how well they stuck the landing and more or less tied up all the loose threads. There were almost all. There were a couple things that didn't make sense, so they don't get a 10. But because my expectations were so low, I'm going to give them a 9.
Well, I vacillated between an 8 and 9. And on the kind of scale of did it end things, and that's where I would go with an 8. But
what didn't end?
Was it satisfying? Well, it never fully explained the shape of the corpuscle, because we knew that while they ran off,
they were huddled together.
Yes, but as the veterinarian said, this isn't how you look when you die from freezing.
Yeah.
You get tired and you fall asleep. You don't look horrified. And my conclusion was that whatever ice avalanche, is that what they said? An ice avalanche?
Yes, a slab
official
avalanche.
anchorage of a weather event. I wonder if what that means is that the ice broke all at once, and that could be the horror. But they wouldn't die and freeze immediately from that. And remember that
was a hole.
The other dude who had suffered the similar injuries years and years and years before said he was running away, and there was a enormous loud sound, and he was running toward it, and the next thing he knew, he woke up in the hospital.
Right.
And so there wasn't that.
Sure, there's some unexplained stuff there for sure.
Here's the second thing, and this was a flash, and I really don't appreciate this. Is probably why I lean more toward an 8 now that I'm talking. When they climbed down into the frozen part of the laboratory,
this is my complaint.
There was a moment when they looked up, and when they looked up, there was a spiral.
Right.
and the spiral appeared to have a body or two in it. And then they flashed away from it. It was just a moment.
Right.
Totally inexplicable. Have no idea what it was. What is that all about? You know, open-ended. And in general, I would say that the mystery of the spiral was not to my satisfaction.
Oh, no, it was never explained.
Well, it was only explained by way of warning of an ice hole.
Right.
I can understand that.
Right.
That gives them an acceptable passing grade. But what they didn't explain is its history, which was, older than the ice.
Right.
Now, here's the other thing that I was disappointed in, and I will keep it at an 8 because I really did like the ending, but I felt good about it too, like even a 9. But I sent you the picture of Inuit, the goddess of
Yes.
of the sea, and I didn't realize, I swear to God, I did not know this, that in the beginning, one of the children, I think it was Holden, was drawing a picture of that goddess.
Holden, we never really saw Holden. It would have been Darwin.
No, we saw Holden several times in flashbacks.
Okay. I mean, we've seen
at least a half a dozen.
Okay.
At least 3 or 4 times. I don't know who else it would have been who was drawing that picture, because Holden was the only child, unless it was a flashback of Petey.
The only other kid is
Drawing.
Darwin, Petey's kid.
Oh, it could have been him.
Yeah. Because he
could have
was
been him,
drawing. I remember him drawing once, but I don't recall what it was.
But the fact, in one of these articles I read, the fact that they talked about this Inuit was so surprising to me, because I did that on a random thought. I just wondered about the spiritual aspects. The Alaska Native, I did a little Google, did this, did that. I found that. I didn't realize it was in the show. And so here's the other thing that wasn't particularly explained, which I didn't mind it not being explained, but the last scene, you saw Navarro walking off to the ocean. Never particularly explained as to what, but we knew that she said, sometimes I just want all of this to be over and I will walk, and there was this kind of moment of suicidal thought. And I don't know what, at one point Danvers said something of, don't take the long walk. Well, we saw her take the long walk, even though she was fully clothed, which makes it a little bit like, well, where did she go? You don't know that she walked, and you don't know. But you know that she's missing.
Right.
We know that from the interview with the FBI later. But then she appears on the porch at what is apparently a view of Danvers' house that we've never seen.
Yeah.
Or it's a different location. Danvers' house is only shown as, like most of them are,
The inside.
a nondescript kind of shacky house, but I guess when you go out the back door, there's sliding glass doors and a deck, and you're looking at a beautiful lake and forest.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess.
True.
Was she real, or was she a spirit? And now we know that Danvers knows that all that stuff she thought was gobbledygook is true.
No.
And the spiritual, yes.
Navarro's alive.
No, she's not.
Okay.
No, she's not alive.
Okay.
Do you know what she says? Do you know what the actress says?
No.
The actress says, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It was never explained to me. It was never explained to me, and she said, and I'm okay with not knowing.
Right.
And I'm not sure that it mattered. I mean, and the other question posed to her, did you know how it would end? And she said, no, I didn't know until they were filming it. I wasn't sure at all. I wouldn't know about the ending scene.
I heard an interview with Jodie Foster, and she talked about what a surprise reading the final script was of You know, I always hate whodunits where it turns out to be, you know, someone that we haven't talked, like we talked about this with Mayor of Easttown, where it's some other person that we hadn't been shown yet. And so I guess, sure, we had interviewed those ladies, but so the biggest plot hole that annoyed the hell out of me was they got this map from the Otis Heist guy, and he said this is where the cave is, and they trekked out there, and they got there, and the opening scene is them banging a hole and to break into the ice and slipping down into the cave, and then they walk 2 rooms over, and now they're under the laboratory. Come on.
No, wasn't 2 rooms. It was long.
It was not a long walk.
I don't know how long, but it was a tunnel. Then it was another tunnel, and then they broke through the ice, fell down another one, and then walked some more. It was in quite close proximity. Apparently,
It felt like less than 100 yards that they traveled underground.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Which would have been like, wait a minute, you mean that we're going to dig into the cave where we can like see the laboratory over there, and here we are digging down into the cave?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wait.
I don't think there was any intimation of that. What they could have done was they could have fallen through the floor of the ice and done a ice slide that went on and on and on and on, and then dumped into the room.
Exactly.
You know, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, but,
yeah, exactly. That would have been.
well, that's kind of a plot hole.
Yeah, I didn't.
And this
I
one
like
didn't
that.
have any. Did you read the scuttlebutt of the season 1, 2, and 3 writer and showrunner? What's his name? Pagliazzo. I've got his name wrong. I don't know what his name is. Nick Pagliazzo, whatever.
Sure.
That he, after the last episode, he forwarded all these negative comments that people made, and he forwarded them to his huge following. You know, I don't know how many he's got, but more than some of the commenters. And there's another.
He was amplifying the negativity about this.
Yes.
About this season.
Yes.
That's kind of a dick
and
move.
the actress, professional boxer,
Yeah.
Turned actress. I think her name is Ines. Ines what? She said she had a great quote. I won't do it justice, but it was like, you know, like haters are gonna hate, you know, and if you got nothing good to say, then go ahead and shit on good people.
Right.
It was something like that.
Her name is Kaylee Reese.
Reese.
Yes.
That's where I got it. Reese, Kaylee Reese. So I'm going to find out more about her boxing career. I didn't quite realize that. I knew she was a fighter, but I didn't know that she was quite a successful boxer.
I wonder, because she's got those weird cheek piercings, and I
She did that for another reason.
yeah.
I think, and
I mean that's the way she is.
she said, "Oh shit, this is a role. I got to take those out."
Right.
And the director said, "No, I like that.
Yeah.
Keep him in. Keep him in."
Yeah, I wondered if that was going to turn in, before I looked her up and saw that, like, that's the way she is. I wondered if that was, you know, going to be part of the Inuit culture or whatever. But apparently in sort of the ending where they're showing what has happened after, apparently Danvers' daughter finally does have tattooed lines on her face now.
They showed that in the series.
Yeah, they were sort of showing, you know, toward just before the very final scene where you catch Navarro, they sort of showed that Danvers and her daughter had a pretty good relationship, and were sort of laughing in the car or something.
Huh. I miss that. I want to binge the series in 2 nights, when I can get my wife to sit down, because she'll love it. She'll love it. All right, homework for next week. What are we? Is something coming up on the big screen when something like True Detective ends? HBO would say, okay, here's the next thing. I don't know. I'm not hip to.
I haven't seen anything, but I'll keep my ear to the ground, and if I see something, I will throw it to you.
All right. Well, I got to chop, man.
This has been lovely.
Chop.
I've emailed you the poem.
Oh, good. I'll take a minute.
You should tell her I wrote it.
I'm going to tell them the story. I'll tell them the AI story. It's fascinating. Peace out, bro.
Peace, man. Later.
See ya.
Okay, that's it for episode number 208. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/208, where you can find the links to those Jon Stewart clips. And I also generated some cool AI images for our Where's My Trout board game. So I will put those there too. They're worth checking out. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. We would love your support. See you next week.